Hello and welcome to the NF Core Hackathon March 2026. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm really excited to kick off this event and welcome you all across the world to join us on 3 days of hacking together on NF Core pipelines and Nextflow code. This is just a quick short intro video to go through some of the things we'll do during this week, how we'll work together, the different platforms we'll use and how we can get you up and running as quickly as possible. So let's dive in. As is traditional, I'm going to start off with a few statistics about who registered for the event, just so you get a feel for the other people taking part in the hackathon. Then I'm going to go into some of the platforms we'll use, how you need to be signed up, how you access things. And then I'll talk a little bit about how we organise our work. So we use projects and GitHub issues and so on. Finally, I'll talk a little bit about some of the social activities we've got organised for you. And then I'll wrap up with some resources which can help you on your Nextflow journey. Okay, first off, at the time of recording, we have a massive 539 of you registered. This is definitely an underestimate. There's always people at local sites who haven't registered on the website, and there's also people registering right up and through the hackathon itself. So the number will increase a bit by the end of the week, but that's a fantastic number. And I'm delighted to see so many of you all come together for this one event. As you know, this is a hybrid event. We have both local volunteer organised sites all across the world, as well as people joining online. This year we have over 350 of you across 29 different local sites, which is brilliant, and nearly 200 of you online. If we compare this to previous years, we can see that 2025 was a bit of a bumper year. We had a phenomenal number of people join then. We're more in line with that steady growth from 2024 onwards. Really happy to see this continued growth of the NF Core community year on year. In the registration form, we asked you some questions like, have you attended an NF Core hackathon before? These results are very typical. Most of the time people join NF Core hackathons and events, it's the first time they've done so, and this year's no exception. So if you feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, don't worry. There's lots of you out there who are really digging in for the first time. We also asked you, have you contributed to NF Core before? And amazingly, the numbers had a one-to-one match. So I don't know if it's the same people answering, but there's lots of people here who are new to NF Core and new to contributions, but also lots of people are around to help you out. In terms of demographics, this is pretty much what we're used to seeing for most NF Core events, with a pretty good gender split, and also many of you are in your early career, which is great to see. And a phenomenal number of different countries. We asked you where you live, and the list of countries was so long I had to break this plot onto 2 just to fit all the emoji flags on. So really global representation, which is just brilliant. We can see this on the map of all the local sites as well. It's a truly global event split across all the different time zones of the world. We joked about this last year when we said for the first time the sun never sets on the NF Core hackathon, and I think the same will be true again this year. There'll be people hacking all times of day and night. On that note, if we look at the time zones of people just online, we can see there's also a pretty good split across the different areas of the world this year, which is really nice to see. In the past, we've had very heavy dominance of European time zones, and then it's been very quiet in Australasia especially. But this year we're a bit more balanced, so I'm hoping they'll have a good momentum throughout the whole 24-hour cycle of the event. We asked you if you had any comments or requests as part of the registration. We had some people who were really excited to join, and maybe some people who are a little nervous. Don't worry, we're all very friendly. Quite a lot of people just seems to be here for the free food. That's fine as well. And we had 1 or 2 slightly more outrageous requests. We'll see if your local organiser can help you out with that. In terms of scheduling, most things are asynchronous because we're split across so many time zones. And you can check this on the NF Core webpage, the event webpage. But there's basically 2 check-ins every day where we kind of try and sync up and see what other people are doing at other sites. And it's nice to all feel part of the same event. We also have a social quiz, which will be on Thursday. So we really hope you join for that. That's really fun. And those of you in Australasia, it's the middle of the night for you, I'm afraid. So we'll send out the same questions in an async form that you can do at a time that makes sense for your local site or if you're online. Okay, but how does this work? How do we actually stay connected and work together? There's a few different platforms that you're going to be using in the next few days. The most important one is GitHub. You'll know this because we save all of our code there, we do all the Git repositories and everything, but we're also using it for authentication and login this time. So it's really important that you're signed up onto GitHub and that you're also part of the NF Core GitHub organization. You'll see why in a moment. Next up we have Slack, which is our main communication tool. So go to NF Core website on Join on the top right, click on the button and get into the NF Core Slack. It's a critical part of the hackathon, so you must be there. There are two channels in particular that you need to be part of. There's the main hackathon channel, which will have all communication going through all through the event. And then if you're not already part of the GitHub organization for NF Core, hop over to one called GitHub Invitations. You fill in a little form and someone will add you to the GitHub org straight away. The reason that's important is that this year we're using a new online platform called WorkAdventure, and we're actually self-hosting it. And because of that, we can customize it a little bit. And so in order to get access to the platform, you'll log in with GitHub and it will only let people in who are part of the NF Core organization, just to keep us all safe. So if you're not part of the GitHub org already, you won't be able to get in. So it's a really important first step. This link will be on the event webpage as well. But to get there, you go to app.hackathon.nfcore. And you'll be presented with a screen. You click login, goes through GitHub. You might need to approve things and refresh a page and things. But eventually, hopefully, you should get into a page which looks a little bit something like this. Those of you who have been to previous NF Core hackathons online, it looks a little bit like GatherTown that we've used in the past. And of course, the most important thing is you set up your character and get the right hair. And in this case, you could even set up to have a cat or a dog follow you around. So it's kind of fun. This is particularly important, of course, for everyone joining online. This will be the main place that we use, but also anyone in local sites, please do jump in, join, chat to other people in other zones and explore the area and see if you can find anything fun to do. As you walk around the space, you'll see kind of different rooms, which are dedicated to the different online projects. When you walk into them, you might see that it comes up with a web page which has details about a particular project, for example. And you often see at the bottom a little note saying, click here to join Jitsi. As you walk around WorkAdventure, when you're close to people, you get like a proximity chat where you can just chat to one or two people with your video and microphone, which is really fun. It makes it feel like an in-person event, but it doesn't scale to very large numbers. So when there's 20 of you all sat in one room, it doesn't really work, and then we use Jitsi instead. So hitting space will open up a new tab on the sidebar where it's just a normal video calling thing. And again, that's done on the NF Core infrastructure. This is a brand new thing. This is the first time we've tried this with NF Core, and to be honest, I'm a little nervous that it might be flaky. So if it's frustrating and annoying, don't worry, we have fallbacks. We have plan B, which I'll mention in a moment. So to recap for everyone, even if you're online or if you're in a local site, 3 things are really important as you start. Slack, GitHub with the NF Core organization, and then logging into the NF Core WorkAdventure hackathon space. Even if you're at an in-person site, do try and be online and present, especially on Slack. This is where all the main project communication will happen, both through WorkAdventure but also in Slack. And it also gives us a record of things that have happened later on and for people who can't make it to the hackathon. So it's really the main concourse for NF Core. And I mentioned plan B. If things all go haywire with WorkAdventure, remember you can just hop into a Slack huddle, and that works great with project groups because you can have a Slack huddle for the whole channel. If Slack huddles aren't working, honestly, we're not strict. Use Zoom, whatever. Just find a solution that works for you and the people you're working with. If you haven't used Slack huddles before, look for this little icon in the top right of the window. It looks like a pair of headphones. You click that and it brings up a window. It's like any video calling software. Okay, so you're in, you've said hello, you're chatting to everybody. How do we actually do some work? So we organize ourselves in NF Core hackathons in the following way. Firstly, have a look at the NF Core website. The event page has a list of all projects that people have added ahead of the project start, and see if any which sound interesting to you. In the past, we found it difficult when people are online and in a local site for them to work together, because when you're sat in the room next to someone, it's very difficult to pay the same level of attention to someone who's sat somewhere else online. So this year, for the first time, we're trying something new, where we've said that every project should primarily be based either in one location or online. So just bear that in mind. It might be a nicer experience for you if everyone is online or if everyone is at the same site as you. That said, it's not a hard and fast rule. If you see a project and you really want to contribute to it, but you're not at that site or you're not online, then feel free to join anyway. Just, bear in mind that it might be a little bit more difficult than if you were sat together. Okay, once you found a project, hop into a Slack channel, say hello, introduce yourself. If you have any goals or objectives for the hackathon, then let that be known. Now's your chance to get to know everyone else working in the project, and those are the people you'll be working with over the next 3 days. Next, try and find some actual work to do. We have a GitHub project board where we organize all of the different GitHub issues. So we can go here, I'll show it in a moment, and you can find things to do which have been listed out by project maintainers. If you already have something in mind, please add it to the project because we use that for statistics and metrics to know how much work was done over the course of a hackathon. It's really important that when you find an issue that you work on, you assign yourself to it in the GitHub interface. This basically claims that issue for yourself to work on. It means that we don't accidentally have two people working on the same thing at the same time and duplicating work. Please only assign yourself to one issue at a time because we don't want people to squat on issues and prevent other people from working on them. Okay, that's it. Now you just start working. You start writing code, pushing pull requests and so on, and get as much done and have as much fun as you can. And when you finish the task, remember, have a little celebration. Tell people in your group, in your local site, and pat yourself on the back about it. At the end of every day, we'll have these daily wrap-ups. So this is the kind of thing you can feed up and share some screenshots and stuff, whether it's a happy story or a story of pain. But it's fun to let everyone else know that you've achieved something before you move on to the next topic. Okay, the projects are on the NF Core website on the event page, like I say. You see a big list of them. They're categorized by location and also by the type of topic they are, whether they're pipelines or documentation. Don't feel that you only have to pick one. It's totally fine to move around across different projects over the course of the hackathon and dip in and out of several if that's what you prefer. When you find one that looks interesting, click on it. You'll go to a dedicated page for that project. It should tell you more information about it and also tells you who the leads are for that project. Every project has one or more people who are organizing it, and those are the people you go to if you have any questions or you want to get up and running and started. Really importantly, look for the button that says Ask a Question on Slack. That should take you into the NF Core Slack and take you to the correct Slack channel, and that's where everybody for that project will be all communicating together. If it's a pipeline, it will typically be the pipeline channel and so on. There are some hackathon-specific channels, but mostly these are just the normal channels that we're using in our day-to-day work in NF Core. This is the GitHub project page board that I mentioned. You can see all the different issues listed out and organized both on a holistic page and also per topic area. And you can see they're organized by status and everything, just to give you a kind of bird's eye view of all the different things that are available. And finally, a note for project organizers. If you can hold a kickoff at the start of a hackathon where you describe what your intentions are and the aims are for your project and some background, that's really, really useful. This is best done either by just recording a video and sending it to your Slack channel so people can view it at any time. Or if you do a kickoff meeting, you can record it over Zoom or whatever else and post a recording of that. A lot of people drop in and out of a hackathon. Maybe they can't make the first day. So if you've got a recorded introduction in the Slack channel, you can point people to that, or they can find it themselves when they come online. And it's really, really helpful. It doesn't have to be fancy or formal, just anything rough will do. If you had an idea for a project and it's not listed on the NF Core website, don't worry. You can still add new projects at any point during the hackathon. Just go to the event page. It has instructions on how to do it. You basically open a pull request against the website repo and add the details. As soon as that's merged, in a couple of minutes, it should be on the NF Core website and people will be able to find it. In terms of projects, there are a couple which I will mention of special interest. For those of you who've been following the news in the Nextflow ecosystem, you'll know that we're publishing a bunch of new changes to the Nextflow syntax. These are coming out in stages in NF Core, but the first one, which is coming up soon, is the adoption of what we call strict syntax. It's a new language parser within Nextflow, and the next stable release of Nextflow, which is coming out at the end of April, will do this by default. It's really important that as many NF Core pipelines as possible work with strict syntax in a backwards compatible way, so that when people upgrade, they don't hit any weird errors. This comes with a lot of bonuses. You have better error messages and all kinds of goodies once you've upgraded to strict syntax. So if in doubt, this is a really good thing to focus on for this hackathon. It's getting pipelines and also institutional config files up to spec for strict syntax so that we're ready for that new version of Nextflow. And a big shout out to everyone who's worked on the modules repository, because we now have 100% compliance with strict syntax for both modules and sub workflows, which is brilliant news. The link at the bottom of the page here is to a little repository where we just track the number of pipelines and modules over time, which are compliant with strict syntax. And so the graph that I'd love to see a big green bump on after the hackathon is this one, showing the number of pipelines which work with strict syntax. So if in doubt, that's a great thing to work on. And apologies to all the Stranger Things fans out there. I got a bit carried away on those slides. Okay, just a quick note on the daily wrap-ups. We try and keep these as short as possible, so don't think that this is something where you have to go into a lot of detail about what work was done. It's just to give a flavour for what's going on at the different sites so that we all feel connected. The sillier the better. If you can drop in some memes or some jokes or some photos of what you're all doing, that's fantastic. In the past, we've had photos of everyone doing minute-long planks in the sunshine outside, or building human pyramids and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, the more silly the better. Remember that you can do pair programming. Obviously, if you're sat next to each other in person, this is easy. But also those of you working online, VS Code has a great ability to have pair programming where you can hop on a call with somebody, connect your VS Code instances and be working on the same code base at the same time. So if you find someone else working on the topic the same as you, don't be afraid to ask about that. People generally are very receptive to it, and it's a great way to get started and get more involved if you're not sure quite where to start. Once you've written your code, the next step is then to push it to GitHub on your fork and then open a pull request against the main repository. Often you feel like you've made it at that point, but really you need to remember that that's not the end of the journey. You need to get the pull request reviewed and then respond to any feedback that the reviewer gives you. And it's a whole process really. And it's this process which gives us the kind of peer review quality stamp of NF Core code, which makes the community pipeline so valuable. If you're waiting for your code to be reviewed, remember that we have a special Slack channel which is called Request Review. If you hop in there and you paste your URL to your pull request, you can try and find someone to review it. This is not a one-way process. So the idea is you find someone else who's posted just above you on the Slack channel and you swap with them. Or you find someone else who's working with you in the room. It doesn't matter. Try and swap reviews with people, and that's the best way to make sure that everyone's pull requests get reviewed in good time. Okay, that was all a bit serious and work related, but what about the socials? We've got the usual crop of social activities for you in this NF Core Hackathon, I'm glad to say, and maybe 1 or 2 hidden socks, we'll see. Details will be forthcoming. But first up, the scavenger hunt. If you go to this Slack channel, hopefully everyone should be added as they join the hackathon. Fran will be posting challenges on a regular basis throughout the 3 days, day and night. And so the idea is that you see what the challenge is and you try and go and snap a photo of whatever that is in the most creative way possible and drop those photos into the threads, the Slack threads under the challenge. This is just fun. It's just a bit of a silly way to get you to stand up and have a bit of a walk around and chat to some people you might not speak to otherwise. But it is really good, so try your best, especially if you're online as well. If you just need a 2-minute break, we have a Connect game which was written by Florian and Maxime and others in the community a little while ago. You can find that under the navigation. A bit of fun. Post your high scores in Slack. We've got a Slack channel dedicated to it, of course, like everything else. There's already some pretty good high scores on there, but we'll see who gets the highest score during this hackathon. And on a similar note, special note to the Nextflow Summit. I'll mention the website again in a minute, but there are a couple of Easter eggs hidden in there, one of which may be a game and one of which is about some pixel art. Now, you can see from this screenshot I am not the best at pixel art, but I bet there's some creative folks out there amongst you. So see what you can come up with and post it on socials or post it on Slack, and we'd love to see what you're capable of. As always, we've got the Spotify playlist, the long-lived NF Core Spotify playlist, which is quite eclectic. So check that out on the Slack channel and join it. Have a little listen, maybe add some of your favourite tracks. And join us on Thursday for the quiz, which I mentioned. Basically, you join the Zoom call and follow it online, where the questions will be read out, and then you answer the questions on your phone or some device. And it's just kind of a bit of fun. It's always a highlight. We'll see if there's any questions in there that old timers may remember about markdown links. Okay, and then finally, for those of you at local sites, Sakura is very generously sponsoring this event, and we'll have coordinated with your local site leaders to sponsor you for some food, whether that be pizza or other things. So there should at some point be some pizza and snacks, so please enjoy that. Chat to your local site organizer if in doubt. Okay, just a quick note on safety. We do have a code of conduct on the NF Core website. By joining this event, you are basically agreeing to abide by that code of conduct. There's nothing particularly special on there, kind of common sense things, but do take a read. Only takes a few seconds. It's quite well written. And just bear in mind that you need to follow these rules just for a nice, happy and healthy community. So that's about it. Here's a quick checklist. Just make sure you go through all those things, you've ticked them all off, so you're ready to get started with your hackathon experience. And you should be ready to go. I say at the end here, remember the docs and the training. There are so many resources available to you now with NF Core and with Nextflow, so do remember to check them out. For many of you, the hackathon is as much about learning and getting up to speed with things as it is about writing code. We have bite-sized talks in NF Core, regular short talks about specific topics with a long library now. And all of those talks are on our YouTube channel. We have the Nextflow training website, so training.nextflow.io, which is getting bigger and bigger. And there's loads of materials on the NF Core website. The training website, I would draw special attention to the Hello Nextflow training course, which is for beginners to Nextflow. And also the Hello NF Core course, which is quite new and we're actively working on at the moment. These have been worked on a lot in the past few months and are up to date with the new strict syntax and also new Nextflow language features for Hello Nextflow, such as things like workflow outputs instead of published here and workflow inputs for new params typed parameters. So this is even good as a refresher as well. If you haven't written Nextflow code for a little while, get up to speed quickly on the latest syntax and you'll be able to fly through pretty quickly. Hello Nextflow has video tutorials where you can join me as I go through all the different material. And we also have side quests for NF Test and more material on the training website now. So do check it out. It's a really good resource. We also have translations into something like 9 different languages now. So if English isn't your first language, hopefully you can find a pretty good translation to help you through. I know we're only just getting started on the hackathon, but if you're already thinking about when the next one will be, it's the Nextflow Summit in Boston at the end of April. We will be having talks and Nextflow training and an NF Core hackathon there. I've listed some of the key dates and you can find the whole website at summit.nextflow.io. The call for abstracts has just been extended by a week, so you've got a few more days to get a talk in. If you think this sounds interesting, we'd love to hear what it is you're working on and we'd love for you to join us. It's a really fun event. So. Finally, a little plug for some of the resources we have for the community on secura.io. We have the Nextflow blog and we also have the Nextflow podcast. The podcast is a lot of fun. It's basically me and a bunch of other people in the community chatting about various topics. We had a really good episode last week all about Nextflow pipeline chaining, which is something I know that a lot of you are interested in, with the next episode coming out on Monday. And on the blog, we have lots of community posts as well, written by many of you in the community. There's all kinds of stuff there. Lots of really great content. So just check it out. It's great for a coffee break or something else. And it's a really good way to stay up to date with all the latest developments in the community. Okay, to wrap up, I would love to say a huge thank you to our sponsors. AWS have been long-time supporters of NF Core. They give us credits which fund much of the compute that our integrated testing runs on, that the hackathon infrastructure we're running this year is running on. All of those back-end things which make NF Core just work under the hood is powered by AWS. So thank you to those guys. Also a big thanks to Secura, who are sponsoring this event directly by providing snacks to the local sites. And also for developing Nextflow. I'd also like to say thanks to all the people who work to make these events happen. All of you doing local sites and organising those, all the project group leads, everyone in the core team, the maintainers team, everyone who's done the recent spring cleaning to make sure that the NF Core repositories are ready to go for this hackathon. It's a huge amount of work that goes on the whole time behind the scenes, and we really appreciate everything we put in. So thank you for that. Okay, that's enough of me talking. I'm getting cold stood out here anyway, so without any further ado, I will let you get started on your hackathon experience. Speak to you in the wrap up soon, and I hope you have a fantastic few days. Thanks very much.